Whoa.
Sorry, this is going to be annoying. Yeah.
Nice.
Good. Yeah, I'm good.
Let me just decline this call.
Baimaii, are you recording? Okay. So we're going to clap on 3. So on the number 3. 1, 2, 3, clap. Yeah? Ready? 1, 2, 3. Hello, Sawadee Krap and Sawadee Baimaii. Happy New Year. It's Songkran 2564, I believe. And we have a real star-studded episode for you today to celebrate. Come on, guys, don't laugh.
Real who's who.
This is a who's who. I'm joined by Samai, as always, as you can hear. But it's also my great honor to introduce a very, very special guest. It is our brother Min, or Patompong, who is the host of Analysand Thai, and he's making his first appearance in English. So, do we call you Min or Patompong?
Min, sure, you can call me Min.
Okay.
Dr. Mean.
Oh,
Min.
no.
So yeah,
Sawadee Krap.
welcome.
Hello, everyone.
And I'm equally honoured to say that we're also graced by Baimaii from Freeyouth, who was actually our first ever guest on the show. So Baimaii, welcome. How have you been?
Hi, great.
Great.
With Songkran, but COVID, so stay inside. Don't go to see family because they are afraid that I have been in the protest and I would catch COVID and nice without family for a while.
Don't tell your family that.
So, yeah, in recent episodes, we've kind of been looking a lot at history and giving more kind of big overviews of issues in Thailand. But for this ep, we thought we would take you on a little tour of today's Thai left and the current protest movement. And I think our guests are the perfect people to talk to about that. So to get the ball rolling, I thought I'd ask Baimaii, could you kind of give us maybe, for people who wouldn't know, give us an overview of the main groups who have emerged from the protest movement in 2020? Because it looks like there are kind of 4 main groups that have come out of it, right? So Kanad Ratsadon, Tamasat, Samanshon Dowdin, and your group, Freeyouth, or RT, or Redem, or whatever you're called now. So could you give us a little overview about them and how they all kind of relate to each other?
Okay, cool. So, of course, the protests from last year and this year are quite different. Well, the last year we could see that, there weren't so many small groups, but there were bigger groups coming out together as Ratsadon. Anyway, this year, I think there are 4 big groups, which are, of course, Redem and Ratsadon and Vivo and Talukfa. So Redem, they promote for a leaderless movement.
That's your group.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm trying to sell Redem. Anyway, it's Redem stands for Restart Democracy. Well, it is trying to be a leaderless movement and communicating by Telegram because it's safer. And I guess the reason that Redem doesn't want leaders because many leaders are actually in jails and apart from that is to empower people because protests in Thailand from last year, people had to wait for the announcement from leaders or from famous page. But Redem tries to, empower the people so that they can, protest by themselves or be more active with the protest. No need to wait for, any leaders to tell you to do anything. And apart from that, I think Redem let them learn from last year that if you have like leaders or any leading speech makers, you will get arrested very easily. And when you get arrested, then everything just fucked up. But with Rhythm trying to trying to be leaderless because it will be hard for the state to handle. Like the state will not know like, who should I arrest or who should I make a deal with. And I think that's a good way to perhaps shock the state for a while. Yeah, that's Rhythm.
And sorry, could I quickly just interrupt and kind of pass this over to Min a little bit, because me and Min have been talking a lot about like recently, we've seen how ineffective it's been. Well, me and you have been talking about this privately a lot, how ineffective having leaders has been for these protests. So we've seen this cycle of like every time the leadership gets arrested, and there isn't a leader there, the protests seem to become more active and more effective. So I was just wondering if you had a thought of that, because you're more of a kind of theory guy, so I kind of wonder your opinion on that.
I think so, like Baimaii said, because like we need to consider the real situation too. And the situation now is like we cannot afford the leader movement, because like if we try to bring the movement like the red shirt one or some kind like that, we will got arrested like a massive arrest or got shot. And it's a little bit of like necessity to leaderless movement too. And I think it's in theory we surely we need to organize in more radical way, in the leaderless way. But a part of that is we cannot do the leader movement too now, because the situation is quite harsh. And if we like a copy movement from the past, like a Bolshevik movement or some kind like that, we don't have the people who can like be a professional revolutionary in now time. Like we haven't in the war zone situation or some kind like that shit too. So we need to be a slow movement and like play the long game now.
Yes, the conditions aren't correct for Lenin.
Yes.
The Thai Lenin.
So Baimaii, do you want to carry on?
Yeah, of course. Or I don't know if I talk too lengthy about Rhythm.
No, it's your group. You can promote your group. Yeah. That's cool.
Okay, anyway.
You can just say a little bit about the other groups. That's fine.
Just say they're bad and you're good. That's all.
Oh, come on, we're all friends here.
Yeah, that's why we make Rhythm, because like we want to empower people, and we don't want to repeat the mistake we made last year, because many people are in jail right now, and as we can see that not many people come to protest anymore. So this is the only way to empower people. Though I don't know if it's effective, because still less and less people are coming to streets. I think we got a lot to learn from that. I mean, perhaps we should organize more, because like the last time we got shot by like rubber bullets and the police like dispersed that very violently. Perhaps we should pay attention more on like security, or how to fight back with the police, or how to like choose the meeting place that is not very that's not very risky. Like around the palace or anything.
I mean, that kind of brings us on to Wevo, who you mentioned before. So do you want to mention them?
Yeah, I think Vivo works great without their leader, who is now in jail.
Total,
I mean,
right?
they try to, Total. I mean, we will try to like help every single group. Like they will, look out for security and everything. But it's like they are the very first group who got arrested.
Just to be clear, they're the guards group, right? So they're the people who are they task themselves as guarding the protesters from the police and from yellow shirts as well.
Yeah, but they're like the one who got arrested.
Yeah.
Anyway, so last time we told them like to like not wear their uniform, like their their vest and anything, and try to like blend in with the people, and I think it worked. Yeah. Yeah, that's Vivo. And next one is Talufa. Yeah, Talufa village. I think they are joined with many NGOs, I heard. And yeah, as you can see, they were massively arrested. And yeah, I think one thing we can share, one thing Raydam can share with Talufa is that they are quite leaderless, or I don't know, because like Pai is now in jail, so they have to like move on. And yeah, they are massively.
I think other people would know Talufa as like Dowdin, Samanchon. It's kind of, I think maybe they're a bit better known, at least with Farang, by that name. And they're kind of like a collection of different groups from Isan, isn't that right?
Yes.
So I think they're actually quite left. They're probably the most leftist of like the big groups as well, I would say. No,
I would say so. I don't know like many activists in Talufa, but yeah,
It's a bit like a bit anarchist with NGO characteristic.
Anarchism.
Yeah. Well, we spoke to somebody from Dowdin. Me and Samai spoke to someone from Dowdin, and they said that at least for Dowdin, they said pretty much everybody who joins is either a Marxist or an anarchist. So yeah, at least for Dowdin.
I don't know if they try to like to be like Rojava.
Yeah, something like that.
And could be.
Yeah.
That's why they named like Talufa village. And yeah, the next one is Rasadon. Well, they're trying to.
Not your best friends.
Oh, they're trying. Oh, you're trying hard.
Well, they try hard to like to not let everyone forget their friends inside the prison. I mean, yeah, they try to go with non-violent tactics, and I don't know.
I think for me, like the most curious thing about Kanab Razadon is that they are definitely the most politically moderate group, and at the same time, they have been arrested. The leadership, at least, have been arrested the most, so they have the most people in jail, despite the fact that they're the most moderate. And this comes on to this kind of ironic thing that we've been noticing, which is a lot of the liberals are going to jail and a lot of the leftists are managing to avoid that. And from what we can observe, it's because liberals tend to focus their attention on criticizing the monarchy rather than criticizing larger structural issues within the country. This is something that you and me have talked about quite a lot. Like, could you kind of give us an idea about the difference in the different ways in which leftists approach to protests and the ways that liberals approach to protest? Because there is a very big difference here, and it affects who goes to jail and it affects who doesn't.
Rasadon is maybe growing from Thammasat demonstration and protest, right? And that's their purpose is like to be approaching the parliamentary system. The final purpose is to bring a parliamentary system into Thai, like a fully capital parliamentary system in Thailand. And with or without monarchy, they're not bothered with it. They're like, I think they still see that monarchy can coexist with our parliamentary system or some kind like that, and they just expect on that kind of thing. But I think personally, I think we cannot approach the protest like that now, because we all know that it's hard to say, but we all know that our system cannot be reconciled. Like the mass and the elite or upper class in Thailand is quite breaking apart of it. And
it's not reformable, is what you're saying.
Yeah. I think we cannot reform now. We need a revolution, but revolution in the long term is in the long run, some kind like that. But the Khana Rasadon and Thammasat group still focus on just reform, and like they mostly break with the leftist movement from approach more than that. I think it's like implicitly, not explicitly. They said unconsciously about we need to compromise our movement for progressing for our prosperous society or some kind like that. They still think that we can do this kind of thing. They think that we just move the leader of our government, of our system of Thai parliamentary system out of this system, and they will replace with another one who can run it, and they think we can go it smoothly, just like we can use our everyday system, everyday government with new leader, and we can run it smoothly. But I think we can't do that, at least because our system is totally corrupt now. We need to change something, and they just their mindset is just about we don't need to talk about it now. We just bring the situation back to the normal one, like back to the Thaksin era or some kind of thing, and that we can continue talking further.
And just to, could you like also then address what I asked about? It seems that they are the ones who have been arrested more than the actual left wing.
Yeah, because they're mostly arrested because their strategy too, because they're just like heroic strategy, like being some kind of popular leaders out to the stage and just openly to accept the state violence. So we can like they perform the Khanti movement with the Thai situation. I can say that.
Baimaii, do you concur?
Well, yeah, I mean, I agree with Min, and I would like to add that, as much as like they're trying to promote their friends in jail, but I don't know if that's enough for people to see that the whole system is fundamentally broken. Because like you cannot just talk about your friends who are in jail. You have to talk about everyone who are in jail right now. Like if it would be nice if they also like talk about like other people who are not very well known too, so that people won't forget them, so that people know that not just their friends who are in jail but other people too. And by focusing on just their friends, all we can say is just, I want just Penguin to get out, I want just Brung to get out. But hell no, we just want the whole system to change. We want everyone now who are in jail to get out. And yeah, we have to talk about like the whole process, the whole system too. Yeah.
I got a couple points. One, it was interesting because when Min was talking about like figureheads and that kind of thing, and thinking that changing the person in charge of the government will do anything. It's sort of like both the liberal groups and the government have the same mindset of like, if you get rid of the person at the top, then the rest of it will change, which is fundamentally wrong. Which is why, as people on the left who critique things structurally, we can understand that it's not the person that is placed at the top, because the person that's placed at the top exists at the top because they were put there by the people who either built the organization or built the system. Exactly, by the structure, right? So that's why targeting the structure is not just correct, but somehow, as you say, safer, because if I said, the system is bad, that's not saying the king is bad. You see what I'm saying? So you can't arrest me for arguing that the whole thing that Thai society is built upon is fucked up, because that doesn't have any actionable. I can't action from that. If I say, oh god, if I
said something else,
if I said something else about a specific person, then they might think I'm going to do something bad to that person. But if I say the system is bad, what can I do to the system? But
then here's the question, which is, what can we do to the system? That's exactly the issue you're pointing to, which is when.
Let me get to my second point. And my other point, listening to Baimaii, is that as I said at the end of the prison episode, right? All the people talking about these reforms, they really don't really talk. They're not talking about prison reform in the wholesale prison reform. They're talking about piecemeal prison reform in the sense of like political prisoners, specifically those that were involved in the protests. Well, that's very narrow. You know, you're not talking about the system as a whole again. So first point and second point sort of come together, and I think that is just one of the pitfalls of liberal thinking, and it has really just it's a chokehold. And without removing liberal thinking, without embracing a more structuralist approach, then the protest can't turn itself into something actionable.
You know what? This is perfect that we have a doctor on the episode, because I mean, it sounds like what Samai is saying. It's like these liberal protesters are trying to treat the symptom rather than the sickness, right?
Yeah.
It's just a slap a band-aid.
Rather than disease.
Yeah, and you know, being a doctor, I assume you know that's not the right thing to do.
I hope not. I feel bad for his patients.
I hope not. Yeah.
I need to add some story. I want to tell a story from my fascist father. My fascist father also said that, oh, you criticize a king like Rama X is not like to criticize more politely and like bring him to compare to his father, and people will accept that rather than criticize the system or the monarchy as an institution. So like Samai said, criticize the leader is not gonna make anything better. Even fascists
agree
with liberal in this kind of thing. Like my fascist father is not. I can't say more than
Okay.
Damn. Maybe there's a connection between liberalism and fascism. I don't know.
Weird that. So, Baimaii, I wanted to ask you, like you mentioned before, it's a lot harder to get people out in the streets now. Maybe the momentum has died down a bit. What kind of do you think strengths there still is? What strength is there left in the protest movement? Like, how many people are still really willing to, I don't know, let's say put their lives on the line for change? Like, is there still any energy? And do you think we'll see it again in the future? Like, what's kind of the energy levels among people that you're trying to organize?
Over 9,000.
I'm not sure about the number, but last time when we were facing with the police, I saw like quite many people, I mean more than I expected, that were willing to like fight back with the police. I think fighting back with the police is the whole new level of the protest, because last year we didn't see this. Last year we just saw like very structured movement that there weren't that many confrontation with the police like the protest last month did. I mean, I think there are people who are willing to like fight back and they just love fighting back, because like when you come to protest and then just sit down and listen to the leaders that are making speeches, it's quite boring, but come
boring.
Here.
Yeah.
That's
come
to
the big
protest.
secret with protesting.
Yeah.
It's pretty boring most of the time.
Yes, it's pretty boring, but like come to a protest and then you got to run, you got to fight back, you got to throw things at police. It's quite.
So I'm going to 2 days.
It's fun.
Yeah, it's quite fun, and it just feels like you are at that moment you are really fighting against the state. I mean, yeah.
Well, you are.
Yes. I think that kind of people still exist. I guess.
But it's harder. I mean, it's funny, because you kind of need the cover. If you want to get that, I would say, minority who are willing to really fight, you still need the cover of the majority to actually come out. Like, you can't have, 500 people come out and fight the police. You need to have, like, 10,000 people come out and 500 of them fight the police. That's kind of how it works, right? So do you think it's still possible to get out that 10,000 people, or is it just not going to happen again for a while, do you think?
Actually, the future is unknown. I still don't know. Like, it depends on people themselves. I think at this very moment, if they want to fight again, because like I feel like many activists are also are beginning to get depressed because like not many people come to protest anymore, and they're quite sad, very very sad right now, and like they don't want to do the protest anymore. Just they want to do other thing like online discussion or some other thing that's not protest. I think last year like the hope was spreading all over us, and then this year like it quite depressing. But I think this is not the first time we are in this situation. Like many protests face this kind of situation too. So I think people will come again, but I don't know when. But yeah, I think last year we did break something, we did crack something, and that crack will bring us like another thing. Actually, my hope hang on students, mainly on students who will be entering the university this year, because as last year I was a research assistant, and I got to like interview many high school students. They were more radical than the students in the university, and I was like, oh, I cannot wait for them to enter to the university and like do something that like my generation can't. Yeah, my hope hang on them. Like there will be like another wave of change. I don't know. Yeah, we'll have to see.
I mean, you've been involved in kind of education projects, reading groups, and like discussion groups, stuff like that. I mean, do you see that as like a effective way of moving forwards in between street protests? Like, do you think that's going to have any effect, like this kind of radicalizing? I know, like, as kind of left-wing people, we just do it naturally, right? But do you think that this is going to be like beneficial, or do you think it's making any change? I mean, something that's come out of it lately is this large union project. So I don't know, maybe you could mention that as well.
Yeah, because now I still think in the term of Leninist approach, like we have three pillars of movement. Like we need to be organized in organization like party or union. We need to be like a propaganda. We need a educational movement. We need an agitator or some kind like a protest, break up in the street, some kind like that. And yeah, I think our movement is lack of organization, and some people like unionists and the millennium socialists like co-op to build a new like a general union to bring a general strike into the street into Thai, some kind like that. I think maybe it's crucial for our movement too. Like we need to bring the climate or situation in 1970s of Thailand up again. Like everybody strike. We have occupy the factory of Hara factory or some kind like that. We can do that because we have a really climate of socialists in the background, and we need to bring the climate back again, because now we have a very very low power to do like that. And I cannot predict how it will work or not, because we in the fetus state, like embryonic state, to set it up, because it's not illegal, but it's not legal. It's kind of in the gray zone, because we in our law we can build only a specific kind of union, like a union in some kind of industry, but we cannot establish a general union like in other countries. So it's kind of gray zone, and it's gonna hard to make it effect. But we can try. I don't know. I'm not sure.
It's a bit libby, but if we get the ILO on Thailand's ass, right? If the International Labour Organization comes and finally says, fucking, you should let people have better, proper unions in your country, I don't know, maybe then there's some international
It's never
pressure.
gonna happen.
It's not gonna happen. Absolutely. But
Because our government
go on.
didn't sign ILO, International Labour Organization. Yeah. So
yeah, that's the one problem with all these international agreements. They're always opt-in. It's like, oh, you can choose to be nice or you can choose to be a cunt, and then
Did Taksin do anything about that?
no.
Damn it, Taksin, you had one job. No, you didn't.
Damn it, Taksin. So if we kind of move on a little bit, I'm also curious because we're talking a bit about what some of the struggles we're facing with this. I mean, Baimaii, you've also had like pressure on your group, Freeyouth, in terms of charges 112 and what was it, 116 charges as well. So that's sedition, charges of sedition, and charges against the monarchy. And you've also being harassed by yellow shirts, right?
Yeah, it is not confirmed though. If anyway, okay, let me talk about my friend a little bit. So after joining the protest last month, like my friend who is also with Freeyouth, well, he got like hit by 4 unknown men around our very house. Yeah, and so the CCTV cameras were broken. Like,
as is always the way.
Yeah, we asked the police and they said like, no, the CCTV cameras were broken. They couldn't do anything, and like we had to do everything on ourselves. And I was like, oh hell no. Yeah, and though it is not confirmed if those were the yellow shirts or they were sent by the state, or they were both yellow shirts who were sent by the state.
I think usually it's both, right?
Yeah, usually it's both. So
¿Por
yeah,
qué no
it's...
los dos?
Yeah, and so luckily he wasn't that very in coma. He had to admit in the hospital for like 1.5 nights, and is quite okay. And so we try to pay attention more on our security, to not like get hit again, or perhaps next time we get hit we have to like go do the live streaming and everything. But yeah,
I mean, this happens to other groups as well. Like, there have been some really weird reports of like people pretending to be police who aren't police, like stopping activists who are driving down the motorway, stuff like this. I mean, is there any other intimidation like that you've encountered?
Yeah, I think one of my friend who is in Freeyouth also like faced like the same situation. Anyway, I find it one strange thing that I find it's really weird is that my friend who got hit by 4 men, but the police didn't care like about the incident or the area that the incident happened, but the police followed him to like his family's house. Like they were like undercover, and they were and they were like taking photos around my friend's family's house, and I think that's quite weird. Yeah, like he's the victim, but why would you like track him or like spy on him? That's.
And how about you? Have you had police come around to your parents' house?
I'm not sure. Like I don't talk to them much, but I think no, because like my grandparents are like state officers, so I don't think they will face any problem.
Can you talk about what happened?
I think there are really like many things intertwined into this situation, because number one, the police like without uniform are some kind of we cannot spot the difference between gangster and the police without uniform. The first one is that, and another one is the regular police, the police with uniform, is some kind of doing the thing like they do in regular situation. They didn't care. They not care about people in everyday life. They doing so. Especially in this situation, they just don't care people. I think whether it is activist or not, they just don't care. And the third one is they just follow the order from above to do things. So combine the three elements, the police is very very some kind of a bit shit because
A bit shit, just a bit shit.
just a bit shit. Like my experience, the police like follow me because of like in the top order. They didn't know me before, but they just like do it from the order above them. Just that.
Can you say what happened with your parents?
They just support. They just has been ordered from above to like ask me to delete some of my Facebook posts, some kind like that, because like 112 article issue, some kind like that. But I can not talk more than that. But it's that
Okay.
It's a bit
That's
a
fair.
bit right, the politics of driving so intervene with my family, because my family is not it has some power to counter in the right way, not the leftist way. So because of that, I still safe now. But yeah, the police didn't care. They just do it like a bureaucratic way, and if they can like solve it in bureaucratic way, they just solve it. They didn't care. I still think they didn't care if they can cause activists or regular people or some kind of that. They just do the everyday job as they do before. They just like a neutral police. I can say that they just
bullshit job.
Bullshit job. They just receive order, even if the Thaksin or some kind of people, right or left, they just follow them. I think they not have a like agency in the police.
Yeah. I think when the military comes, that's when you know it's a bit more serious and a bit more ideological. So yeah, and just as we wind down a little bit, a couple more things I wanted to talk about, which is just moving towards kind of the state of the left wing in Thailand, because we've been talking a bit more broadly about the protest movement, but just on the left, I think there's quite a big divide for sure between, the working class and the academic class. And this is something that me and Mean talk about quite a lot. It's very hard to bridge that divide for a lot of people. I'm looking at you, Mean. Which is, this isn't specific to Thailand, but it is a problem. And so the way I kind of see the left in Thailand right now is you can kind of compartmentalize it into kind of three different groups. One of them, you've got kind of the academic class, the university professors.
The ones that have read the can.
Yeah, exactly. Like a lot of whom we're friends with, to be fair. And then you've got like the younger people, more lefty, but usually, university people like Baimaii, like me, and then you've got a quite large group of people who are working class. Maybe they don't define themselves as socialists, maybe they do, but they do hold very left-wing beliefs. And I think the tricky thing is to kind of get all of these groups in unison, and I really don't see it happening right now. So I was wondering if either of you guys had any kind of idea of how to
let's solve the problem with the Thai left.
Let's solve the
right
problem.
Now.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, is there anything? Is anybody like working on this, on trying to bridge these gaps, or anything like that? Are there any efforts being made at all right now?
You make me think of like May 1968 in French. Like Alain Badiou said that it's like a very very specific coincidence that the student movement and the workers movement like joining together. We need to bring that moment to Thai, because like I think it's really split now, like you said, and I think it's not specific to Thai too. because like we have some established Marxism in university all around the world, like the right you said cultural Marxism or some kind like that, but it's some kind a bit true in that sense, because we have a professor in the big name university who is a Marxist, very like not so small in the number, but they just like they can bring the gap closer with the regular people. But my hope is in the protest. My hope is in the street. Like in the later years, we in Thailand we can bring the people and some academic comrades together, like Gengkit or some kind of Jai Sungpakon, or some people like unionists and regular people can talk to each other in the street. Like I think we need to bring direct democracy to our movement, and it's kind of hard because now we cannot establish a long-term protest or occupy movement easily. But we need to bring it. I don't think we can close the gap easily, or another kind of strategy more than protest, or we need a guerrilla warfare or some kind like that. I don't know, but my hope is
I'm
still
looking at you, Baimaii.
in street.
Let me talk about Mao for a second.
Or maybe protect more.
Baimaii, you.
Yeah, I think there are some academics who are trying to or who can bring the gap closer between like the working class and the academic class. I think it is not like the past that the academics were like undercover and trying to be like working class in disguise, and they were like working with them and trying to incite revolution to them. Like it's not like the past, but I think now there are like in the present there are many kinds of workers, like the platform workers, and students are also workers, the internship and many more. I guess we have to expand who are workers and what. I think first we have to expand, and when we can expand, so we can see what kind of workers can potentially do the revolution. For example, the platform workers, like the drivers, the delivery men, they are waiting to be the next the revolutionary professional or anything. I think a Facebook page named like Lala Move Labor Union. I think they're very radical. I mean, I think some posts they openly criticize capitalists, and they're trying to I don't know, their tone in the posts are very lefty. Like there's sometimes they call for solidarity for every worker in every company. I think that's a good way to start a revolution. Like in Freeyouth Facebook page, whenever we write about like the delivery men, we always got like many likes, or the posts are like gone viral. So I think I want to see I think I can see some potential there. And with the academics who can like erase the gap or reduce the gap, I think it's still possible.
I was thinking about this kind of brought to mind. I was reading Tyrell Habercorn's book about the radical farmers in the 1970s, and there's who we're having on the podcast next week, by the way. And there's a section in there about how students, university students, were sent to rural areas to work with rural working class peasants and learn from them, essentially learn what it is to be working class. And this was in around 1973, 74, and this was an incredibly radicalizing factor on both parties, because the students had the theory and then the peasants had the practice, and then there was this kind of synthesis of these two things. And I think that's an amazing thing to do, and I don't see any of that happening right now in Thailand. Yeah.
Gabriel, are you saying we should send people back into the jungles?
Well, I'm not directly. I'm not. Hold on. If anything, I'm advocating for the cultural revolution here more than anything else. But which, by the way, poorly executed, but like the very prime idea behind it, I'm not against. I'm not against it
because we have capitalist capitalist types of thoughts, so we have to create socialist types of thoughts.
But I will say it's institutionalized now. Like in Thammasat, they have a Thammasat 101 or some kind like that bring students to do a farm with farmers, some kind like that. But it's like in not left this way for sure.
From what I've heard about that, it's very like almost like poverty tourism.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah. And so, just listening to what everyone's been saying, I think that we can probably agree that two of the main things is, one, closing the gap, and then two, organizing after we've closed the gap, right? So essentially, the way I perceive things is that we just need to get everyone at the table, and I don't mean the metaphorical table. I mean literally, everyone needs to like sit down. Like we need to have some form of assembly where we can get people of all these different sort of parts of the working class and members of society that are important and impacted by capitalism, so we can actually hear each other discuss things in a physical place. Rather than getting lost in the internet.
That does seem to be the aim of a certain group, which I think we all agreed before we started recording is secret for now.
Good point. I'm foreshadowing is what I'm doing.
Okay.
But yeah, and then after that, once we have people's common goals in mind, and we have a common understanding of our enemy is a strong word, enemy.
Adversary.
Our foe. Once we have a common enemy of our foes, then we can actually build practical sort of alliances, practical strategies and solutions towards undermining capitalist hegemony, or whatever Thailand fucking has, feudalist hegemony. And then, from there, see how it goes. But obviously, as we've been saying, there are some issues to that. One being the conservative nature of most unions, and the depoliticized, demilitarized nature of international unions international organizations that come and do union work, and then also academic left versus sort of the working class mentality. I don't think we need to explain all four things of alienation to some chat from fucking like Trang or whatever. We should we need to listen to the fact that his yields are low, and we got to do something about it. So I think we need to get some nebulous group that I've never heard of in my life to sort of get everyone to sit down and listen to what's going on. So hopefully we time this right.
Just speaking of some potential group that may or may not already exist, I don't know how to phrase this question, and I'm going to ask Mean. How are those efforts going?
I think now every leftist know that like the theory that like the right thing to do. We need to bring people together. We need to do a common action. We need to organize our organization, some kind like that. But now we really need a strategy. You know what I mean? we all agree with those points that we talk about, that we need to bring people to make a solidarity, to expand our movement or to some kind of that. But it's hard to make it happen in reality. Like if it's easy, we can have a revolution now. Like, but it is some kind that need to like revision. Like I'm not a Stalinist. I'm not anti-revisionist. Just we need to revision. We need to revise or rewrite our theory or our practice, some kind like that. And this is a problem of all time. Since the Marx, since Plato, since human being are born, we need to change a reality, but it's not that easy. So I need to consult your Maoist guy for the strategic.
I think just to wrap up this a little bit, I would say come out with my favorite phrase, which is a good socialist is a social socialist. And I always say it, but talk to people, make friends, stay in touch. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So yeah, that's kind of where I would end it. And hopefully in the future, people get out in the streets more, people start talking to each other more. Maybe it's happening right now.
Then can I end it with my own phrase, if you're gonna say that? In the sense of what Gabriel was saying is we need to get out in the streets. Dare to struggle, dare to win. There we go.
Wow.
There we go. That's right. Get my Mao in. It's every episode has to have some Mao. That's
Oh yeah. as a treat. All right. So is that it? Are we done, everybody? Any final thoughts?
I don't know. Just join Rhythm in Telegram.
nice.
All right, folks. So yeah, fingers crossed. Revolution. When are we gonna pin the date on the calendar? I don't know. Maybe in a few months. And I'll see you all there. All right. Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 ฉันมันวัยชรา65เข้าแล้วนับว่าแก่ชราเต็มทีคืนนั้นวันที่13เป็นคืนสวยจะไหนหรือว่าเป็นคืนที่ฉันโชคดีแต่ฉันดันเมาไปหน่อยดื่มเข้าไปหลายกักเลยชักงงเดินเข้าไปผิดที่